All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Dive into Real Estate Investing for Newbies podcast. I have a very special guest, Jennifer Hammond. And Jennifer, if you don't know her, man, she is full of life, just full of excitement. And she's been in real estate for over 20 years. Her story of where she came from, her beginnings to where she is now. I'm just excited to hear about it. She's also a host of the SiriusXM show, the Jennifer Hammond Show. She has aided thousands of veterans and their families and helping them through her best-selling book, 101 Plus Resources for Veterans. Also, she has just empowered individuals with knowledge and helped them with good decisions about real estate. She also, I think you have something, Jennifer, like 17 questions you should ask with your mortgage broker, real estate investors. I think you got this resource, which is real good. So I'm just excited to what Jennifer is gonna share on the show today. Welcome to the show, Jennifer. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and I absolutely love that you have a podcast. It's really for the newbies, the people who are not trying to be braggadocious and say that they've done a million of this and a million of that. And we all start somewhere, and I really like it because so often we forget about our basics and our foundation. And so, thank you for having me.
Right. Thank you, Jennifer. So, Jennifer, tell us about your story, because people think that sometimes you come from this back. Some people think when you're in real estate and you successful, you come from this background uh, of successful people, but that did not start with you in your background. So share a little bit about that. And where are you now? Like, where are you located? What state and everything? Where are you from?
Usually I'm in Washington, D.C., and I have a house. My home is in Virginia. And so as we're recording this in February 2021, I have gone down to my Florida home. And so I'm in Florida right now because, of course, it's February and it's cold back in DC, with ice storms and snowstorms. And so I have, but I originally grew up on an island, Key West, Florida. And ironically, Key West and like New Orleans are very similar. They're like twin cities in that they have all sorts of festivals and lots of artists. Like Hemingway was really famous for being in Key West. And then we have all sorts of parades and stuff similar
to New Orleans. Right. In New Orleans, because we of course we didn't have it because of the weather this year, but I grew up in New Orleans, but we'll talk about that. That's something. Yeah, go ahead.
And so you're coming on my show, so I'll ask you a whole bunch of questions then. So anyway, so when I was an island girl, I had a really troubled childhood. My mother was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and my sister was adopted, but then because of all the abuse, she ended up in foster care, and she bounced around to a bunch of foster homes. And back then we didn't have cell phones. So I just lost touch with her, and we didn't have email, which is hard to believe. Feels like email was always here, but it really wasn't. Not when I was in high school. So, and then my brother became a drug addict as well. So life did not look very good. Even when I was in high school, I just didn't know if I was even going to survive it. Honestly, surviving it, and I never dreamed I would actually be able to go to college. And that's another whole story, but I ended up with a scholarship, and I did go to college, and I went all the way through a master's, which is hilarious. Now looking back on it, for me, I needed to prove something because everybody had told me how stupid I was. And I didn't want to be, with that label of stupid. And so what I realized is that going through the school gave me the confidence to continue on that desperate road. I want to say desperate road of being curious about everything. And when I got to Washington, D.C., I only worked a little bit of time on Capitol Hill, and I just hated it. The politics were just crazy. Like, no, I don't want to be in politics. So I remember I walked across the street to the Library of Congress, and I met this wonderful librarian there. And there's funny, they have this beautiful gold dome, and it's called the Reading Room. And you go in there, and I said, I need a different career. I can't work in government. I don't know what to do. And so, of course, I was going through all these different lists. And of course, I got to circus clown, and I thought that would be really fun. And at the time, I was engaged to a lawyer, and he said, I will never marry a circus clown. And he didn't think it was funny at all. I thought it was funny. But I realized I got all the way down to real estate, and I was like, I've always wanted to know real estate. But back then, women, especially, that was 23, 24 years ago, women were not real estate investors. And I really wanted to be a real estate investor. So I realized the best way to kind of get my foot in the door was to be a real estate agent. And so I got my license because that also opened the door to getting into the MLS and being able to see the listings. And then once I saw the listings, it's like anything else. So you want to buy low and sell high, right?
Right. Yep. That's it.
So, as a real estate agent, I started learning how to evaluate properties and why things are worth more than other properties. But my other thing, which I think you also would understand, is I started helping one of my friends who worked for a nonprofit. Had gone all the way through all this school. And again, he was doing what he loved, which was working for this nonprofit, but making no money and huge student loan debt. And, I had some scholarships, but to get all the way through my master's, I ended up taking out student loans. And so I was sitting with some pretty frightening debt when I got out of school, and I had no clue how I was going to pay it back. And my first real estate investment deal, boom, I wiped it all out.
Wow. One big deal?
One deal. I made $83,000
wow.
on my first deal, which is not typical, obviously.
Right.
But I had one of the things, and so that's why, like I said to you before we started today, one of the reasons that I'm so passionate, I still have my real estate license because of my friend that I was telling you about who worked in the nonprofit, and I helped him buy his first property. But the cool part was I helped him get a grant for his down payment, a grant for his closing costs. And he had to pay no real estate taxes for 5 years. Because in Washington, D.C., we still to this day have a program called tax abatement. And if you're a first-time home buyer and you're under a certain amount of income, you have 5 years. You don't have to pay your real estate taxes. I mean, that's a sweet deal.
Right.
So I got addicted to helping people. Like that was,
yeah, that was huge.
I mean, when you can help people. So that's one of the reasons I don't know if I'll ever give up my real estate license. But my biggest passion is really teaching people. So just like, teaching somebody to buy, and I have a first-time home buyer program, which you mentioned, the 17 questions. Anyone who wants those 17 questions, I will give them for free as a gift. Any of your listeners, it is no problem at all. So there's a couple. Number one, there's the 17 questions that you should ask a real estate agent when you're interviewing them. And then I have 17 questions that you should ask a mortgage lender. Now, and that's whether you're getting your first mortgage or even if you want to refinance. And so both of those are just free resources that I created because, again, I found most people just don't know. And then I created this amazing 3-day real estate investing summit. So if you're listening to this before we go live, right now it's free. You can attend it for free. So you go to www.yay, which of course is appropriate. Yay!
Yeah.
I love to say yay. It's YAY, and then it's FM, like an AM FM radio. It's not .com, so it's yay.fm. So www.yay.fm. Go there and you can register for free. If you happen to be listening to this at a later date and you're just catching up, we are going to keep all of these resources up there for later. So you will have an opportunity. You're just going to have to pay a fee. So you want to go now while it's free. Go.
I will most definitely have that link in the show notes. And if you have a link for the 17 questions, I'll have that in the show notes too. So make sure that you all go through the show notes, click that link so you can get free access to that 3 real estate summit that's going to be happening.